Welcome to the Mid Week Tease with me, Adelle Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, let's talk about something that I want us all as African women to stop doing, which is shrinking ourselves, making ourselves smaller. When was the first time you did that? When was the first time you made yourself smaller? And I'm not talking about like going on a diet. I mean like reducing your intelligence or intellect, reducing your ambition, reducing your finances, reducing your emotional needs in a relationship. And I've been thinking about this a lot since my conversation with a Kenyan lady who is a lawyer, an advocate who runs her own law firm here in Kenya. Her name is Ruth Tanui. I met her because of the new show that we have on Legally Clueless Africa called Difference She Makes. And in my interview with her, she talked about how she and other women she knows in her field made themselves smaller. For example, like one of her friends got a lot of money in a deal. The deal went really well. And Ruth told her, well, you've gotten all of this money. How's about you buy yourself an apartment, etc.? And the lady said, I'm not going to do that because it's going to scare men away. I'm pausing because I know all of us have heard a woman do this or have done it ourselves, right? Ruth also talked about how even when she was already a fully certified lawyer, she would call herself a legal secretary. Like she would reduce her title, you know? And I feel like sometimes we look at making ourselves smaller or shrinking as being strategic or wise or survival. Like this is how you navigate patriarchy, you know? So you end up downplaying your achievements, you soften your ambition, you reduce your title, you describe your organization or your company or your business like this small thing I do, you know? And you kind of make sure that your light doesn't make anyone uncomfortable. I have done it. I have done it. And by the end of this episode, you and I are going to promise each other that we're not going to do that anymore. I have done it mainly in relationships. Like it's so ridiculous, right? And I'm going to get into it a little later, but I feel like towards my mid-30s and now that I'm 37, there is an acknowledgement internally and intentionally that I will never, ever, ever shrink myself. Because shrinking myself is like teaching and coaching my nervous system that my full self is unsafe, and that is not true. So of course I did a little reading in this because when we shrink ourselves as women, there's also something that pops up, which is the confidence gap. There is research that shows that men apply for roles when they meet about 60% of the qualifications, while women tend to apply only when they meet 100%. So you'll see a job advert on LinkedIn or a funding call out or a grant for businesses, and you'll just be like, oh, I have 5 out of the 7 things they want. I'm not even going to apply because I'm not going to get it. But a man looks at it and is like, well, I only have 1 or 2, but I'm going in with my chest. And this is not biological. I want us to reframe this. Please, it is conditioning. We have been conditioned to shrink ourselves. It's the patriarchy at work. And psychologists call this the self-efficacy belief. And this is your belief in your ability to succeed. And for many women, especially women raised in environments where perfection was the baseline, self-efficacy becomes tied to certainty. So if you are not certain you're going to get something, you're not going to go for it. But one thing I have learned, and I'm so grateful for being in business in the last 7 years, growth requires uncertainty. In fact, I'm beginning to believe there's nothing like 100% certainty, right? So even when you're hesitating, you're waiting, you're over preparing, shrinking, yeah, man, like that it's has been presented to us as a way to, move in a strategic way, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're just wasting your life, right? And there is a psychologist, Alfred Adler. He wrote about something that I think is very linked to this, the deep human need for belonging. So imagine how you and I, as African girls, grew up. For you to belong, you had to be agreeable, you had to be respectful, and you had to be not intimidated. So yes, on one hand we're being told be excellent, but not sisana. It shouldn't be too much until it's threatening, right? Be successful, but not louder than the men. Be powerful, but also, don't have too much kimbelembele. I don't know what the English translation of that is, but like be powerful but still palatable, you know? And so what happens is we start to manage ourselves and try and make ourselves become a bit more digestible, right? And the words that come to mind are from Chimamanda. And when she talks about we teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller, we say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. This is why I say it's not biological. This is programming. Don't be too much so you don't scare men away. Now, in psychology, there's something called the relational self-construal. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. But the meat is where it's at. This is a tendency to define yourself through relationships, right? And because of this cultural programming, women are more likely to internalize this. So when a woman earns well, but hesitates to buy property because she might scare men away, what's happening isn't foolishness. We mustn't dismiss it. What's happening is the fear of like social penalty, because women who display competence in like traditionally male coded spaces, they are perceived as less likable. There's an entire effect around this called the backlash effect. Think about it. Even where you work, the woman who is like only female in top management is often rounded off to be a bitch, or we don't like her too much. So sometimes I think it happens without us even being conscious to it. Shrinking becomes protective. And it feels so sad that like we're reducing our identity because we've been programmed to, but also because we feel like it's the safest thing to do. And that is just so heartbreaking for me. And circling back to Ruth's story, she ended our conversation on such a powerful note that called to all of us to not shrink ourselves as women and to not wait for certainty before we jump and before we build. And she talked about building her own law firm and how she was scared out of her mind and she did not feel stable at all. She did not have all the knowledge needed, but she just like was like, you know what? We're going to start and we're going to see where it goes. So, take this episode also as a sign that thing you want to do as an African woman and you're talking yourself out of it, or you're like, I'm not ready yet, I don't have everything. This is your sign to stop shrinking your ambition and using the excuse of, I'm waiting for certainty. Jump. Do it now. Everything else will align as you go. Start. You will make it better as you go. Do not wait to feel ready. Act. And sometimes the act of acting comes before the confidence, and that is okay. I have felt it in my own life. I mean, look at the name of my company, Legally Clueless. It's because when I was starting, I didn't know a damn thing. But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's put one foot in front of the other and let's see where it goes. And I have walked into rooms so unsure. I have said yes while self-doubt is trying to choke me out. But I have expanded because of this. And once that expansion kept happening, the courage followed afterwards. So shrinking is holding you and I back from living our best lives and from meeting our best selves. And as African women, let's not forget that shrinking is not just individual, it's like historical. There were colonial systems that taught us to be more quiet. There are patriarchal systems that taught us as African women that power disrupts order. Then add a drizzle of capitalism that rewards women who perform humility. But something's got to give, and it better not be your ambition or what you aspire to achieve with your life or the love you truly deserve. If you recognize yourself in the things that I am saying, here's some things you can start to do. Notice the micro shrinks, the tiny ones, the things when you catch yourself saying, oh, it's just a small thing, I'm not really that experienced, so it's nothing big. Catch it. My therapist always likes to say, catch the thought, catch it, and then reframe it. And keep doing that again and again and again, because your nervous system needs repetition to unlearn certain things. Another thing you can do is reframe intimidation. There are people around you who truly believe a woman shouldn't out-earn a man. A woman should, be happy maybe being a secretary. There's nothing wrong with being a secretary, but I'm saying it in the context of a woman who wants to be in top management, but you need to reduce your career ambitions. And there are people who will get intimidated by you wanting more. And if someone is intimidated by your growth, that is information. It is not instruction. And it's data. Everything is data, man. Me, when I hear those people or come across those people, I'm just like, oh, noted. You cannot be around me anymore because you are dangerous. You are going to poke holes at my ambition, and I cannot have that. It is information. It is not instruction. The other thing you can do is start to act before you feel ready. Apply, pitch, launch, buy, speak your full title. Imagine the confidence will catch up. And then when it comes to love, if love requires your reduction, it is not love. It's control, it's containment. And bro, or rather sis, you were not born to be contained. You were not born to be digestible. You were not born to make yourself smaller so that somebody else can feel tall. You were not born to earn less or to build less or to shine less or to speak less so that love feels safer. You were born to be your full self, and that includes all of who you are, all of your ambitions, all of your intellect, all of you. Do not do yourself the disservice of shrinking yourself. If this episode resonated with you, share it with somebody else. And I really hope it's a woman you share it with so that she can get that wake-up call to stop reducing herself. And if you want to check out my conversation with Ruth that really inspired me to have this conversation with you today, it is linked in the show notes, or you can find it on our YouTube channel. Just check out Difference She Makes, which is our brand new show. Thanks for listening to the Mid Week Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.